right, welcome back to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. This is going to be an interesting one for all of our listeners, particularly those that have seen us before. As always, I am your host, Adam Smith, with Just the Tips Coaching. And with me, pretty much as always, unless she's hiking across Europe, is our marketing director, Jen Wayborg. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning, Adam.
I do that every time. Yes, it is morning while we're recording the podcast, the video cast. And it is morning for all of us because our repeat guests, is this the fourth or fifth episode?
Fourth, I believe.
Fourth, and that's the pinnacle. That's the top of our guests. All right. Well, welcome back to the show, Piper and Justin Knoll. Hello, Knolls. Welcome back.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so we were all chatting before we went online and decided we would spend the half hour talking about why you shouldn't cheat on your spouse. That's the joke, although we did provide some. And hey, you guys, those of you that are out there, you go ahead and do that because it's good for mortgages and real estate. We all love that. You guys now need separate houses. There's a sale. There's a couple of purchases. There's some shit to finance. You guys just rock and roll. In fact, I do remember, and I know this is totally off topic what we would normally talk about with you guys, but I remember years ago, Ashley Madison was hacked. And the hackers threatened to release all of this information of these people that were cheating on their spouses. And I was like, yeah, go for it. That'll be great for business. Let's do it. But yeah, that obviously has not come to fruition, or at least not that we know of yet. All right, so Knolls, this is weird for us because we've got you guys on separate cameras. That's a first. Usually the two of you are in the same location, but tell us what's been going on with you guys. How are things? This has been a unique year. We've had a lot of shift. I'll bet a lot of the shift in our industry has had an impact on your industry. Give us the news that's fit to print. What's been going on in real estate these days?
Go ahead.
Oh, we're going to fight. I'm going to do this again. Piper, tell us what's been going on in real estate. There you
go. Well, I feel like it's old news.
Yes, I know my role.
Yes. I feel like it's old news at this point, but obviously we have a really, really shifting market. And it's I think it's going to be kind of a good equalizer for things. It's been a really challenging market. I don't know how many agents or realtors loved going through the last couple of years, but I think this will be a good shift for us as things normalize.
All right. So I'm not so sure that it's a shift that's been realized. I would still say the majority of our industries, the majority of any licensed industry, you've got 99% giving the rest a bad name, right? And in mortgages, in real estate, we certainly still see a lot of that. I think one of the things I've noticed that's going to be unique to your business is that we have a lot of agents that are or are still slow to react. A lot of real estate owners and sellers that are slow to react. We still think we're going to get 50 grand over ask, 100 grand over ask. As a result, I'm actually seeing price reductions, which are having an adverse impact on the mentality of the people that are being represented well, because I can't believe how many clients I say, well, values are dropping. No, values are not dropping. Asking prices are dropping. But the supply and demand issue is still actually bringing values up. We're still seeing the real estate values go up, but the general consumer, the general home buyer even, is being misled because we do have agents and sellers that are slow to adjust. Yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could not agree more. I think, catching up with where things are is always a challenge for us in real estate. We're usually optimistic by nature and for a couple of reasons, but I think the harsh reality is each, realtor association and brokerage out there is counting on a level of attrition between now and the next 18 months and how many agents they're going to have on their roster. We're seeing anywhere between 2 and 10% attrition budgeted for the next 18 months of, realtors finding themselves into a new career or finding themselves out of this. I don't know if that's going to happen right away. I think that probably will happen into next year for a couple of reasons. So I think you're going to have a lot of people hanging on. But we are, from Piper and my position is we are always happy to compete. We are very happy to present what we do to the public and let them make a choice based upon that. We know we'll compete well. So, in times like this, we welcome that market. We welcome any bit of change. If we can lessen the amount of competition that we have, especially the competition that's not very good at this and doesn't represent the industry as a whole very well, please go find something else. This is a real transitioning into what we've always called a professionals market, right? It happened in 08 and 09. The strong will survive. They'll find a niche and a path to keep going and represent clients, whatever way that is, whether it's short sales and foreclosures or investments or whatever the market may bring. The people at the front leading are going to have to see those niches before anybody else and be quick to react. And that's kind of the position that we're in now is, okay, what does this look like? We don't answer the questions, Adam, based upon what we want as a team or what we feel we're great at. We always answer the question with what our audience wants and needs most, right?
Of course.
Where are our clients? And I think that's something that a lot of realtors stray away from is go, well, I'm just going to forge the path that works best for me. Never mind my client base. We'll kind of alienate them as we go because this is what I want to do. And that's a dangerous game. So we're very cognizant of what our clients are about, what they're transitioning. Never mind what our business is doing. That's somewhat irrelevant. It's what they're doing. And so we've got to ask the hard questions. We've got to be in more flow and more contact with them than ever, asking the hard questions, hearing the hard stories, hearing the transition of we need to downsize, but we can't. That's we have to lean into those things. So that's kind of where we are is discovery and ready for prepping ourselves for what's next. And we're always very good at that. Our systems are strong in place and that we're allowed to do those things and pivot because we are strong in those areas.
I would agree. And I think that we run our businesses very similarly that way, despite being slightly different industries. The formula I use now, the formula I used back in 08, and there may have been another recession in there somewhere. I'm not going to admit on camera how old I am. Is that, yes, it's a smaller pie, but there are bigger pieces. We're going to have a bit of an exodus in mortgage and real estate. Hopefully it will be people that probably shouldn't be in the business. Hopefully it will be people that aren't listening to this podcast for a number of reasons. One is that we did shift fairly quickly. We did pivot quickly. Are we going to have the year in 22 that we did in 21 and 20? Absolutely not. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Everybody was working 60 hours. We were all ready to kill each other. Not a bad thing. Are we going to have a year that was on par with the years prior to that? Yes, absolutely. And I am still kicking myself for not pivoting, shifting quick enough. I'm still upset with myself for not seeing the writing on the wall sooner. We had 2 slower quarters. Could it have been 1? Those kinds of things. But neither here nor there. I do think it's important for the people listening, watching, the people that work for you, that work for me, so on and so forth, to understand that what we're seeing generally economically is set up by institutions. The Fed is a good example. That, and credit where credit's due. I sat through 90 minutes of Barry Habib this week. So he's like the one talking head in the mortgage space that we actually know gets his shit right every time. Yep. We're following the information. We're following the direction of organizations that watch the economy in the rearview mirror.
Yes.
They don't actually see where we're at or where we're about to be or where we're going, which may be a very good thing. But for those of you that are in real estate, that are in mortgages, that are on that cusp, don't give up. This shift is going to happen much sooner than you think. We're going to, the pendulum has probably already swung as far in the opposite direction as it's gonna. And it's insane. Don't get me wrong. Mortgage rates at 7% within a year of being at 3% or less is absolutely Looney Tunes. That real estate values are in a place where it's actually healthy. It's probably still a little beyond healthy. This market, and for those of you listening, Piper and Justin and Jen and I are all relatively in the same market on the Front Range of Colorado here. Our real estate value is going to come down to appreciate 10% a year instead of 20 or 25. Probably. Is that still a little more than would be considered healthy? Probably. We're probably looking at mortgage rates at like 5% before the year is out, 4% next year, 3% year after kind of thing. The pendulum's going to swing back the other way, not as fast as it did, and probably not as far as it did. Those of you that want to mortgage at 2.5 again, probably not going to happen. 3.5, yeah, absolutely. Buy your house today at 7. Refinance it next year at 5. Refinance it a year after that at 3.5. Yes, do what you need to do to secure your long-term fiscal health. But for those of you that are actually in the business, that are good at the business, don't get discouraged. Don't get burned out yet, because it is shifting. Again, remember, all the data that we get, all of these talking heads that we have, they're watching this shit in the rear view. If you were watching where we're at, if you were watching where we're about to be and where we're going, it would be much more encouraging than the data we actually do get. So please sit tight.
Times of change equals times to shine. And that's really the position that we're taking. Is there's going to be a lot of people that shy away from it, kind of hunker down, or so I'm just going to, I hear this a lot. I'm going to go back to basics, which I appreciate and understand. I think there's a lot of truth and solid approach.
There's some value there, yeah.
There's some, but I think just sitting and waiting is what a lot of people in our industry call back to basics. I'll just kind of see where my audience takes me, see what my database does, see what my clients do. You can't.
And even more brutal this time of year, because for some reason, the vast majority of our populations have it ingrained that, oh, well, things are going to slow down in the fall and I don't have to work. And my holidays are actually going to be a holla month. I'm going to take Thanksgiving to New Year's off completely. And then maybe I'll get back into my lead gen space and start doing some work, in the spring, which is why I'm busy in the summer. And then we just repeat this horrible perpetual cycle. And right now is not the time to fall into that cycle again. I agree.
Correct. Find your niche, find something, be awesome.
What should they be doing? You're doing it. Your agents are doing it.
Yeah.
What should we be doing?
Talk to people, ask questions, gather as much data as you can about their lives so you can find out where you can connect them to answers. That's it. It doesn't have to be, are you looking to buy or sell? Are you looking to invest? Fuck real estate for now. Sorry. Just let real estate go. Find out what they're struggling with. Man, I can't find a damn ride for my kid to school. Let us help if we can. That's the kind of stuff that we want to be involved in, is tell us what's happening in your lives and let us be a part of it. And thankfully, our database, our sphere of influence, our past clients, our friends and family are very open with us, because we take that genuine approach of, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm going to be here no matter what. If you want to buy or sell in 10 years, chances are we're going to be here. Let's talk about something far more interesting. I am big on building the story brand. The book that came out, Donald Miller, it's amazing, building a story brand. I talk about this with our team all the time. It's high time that we take the cape off of ourselves when we're telling our marketing story and what we do in this world, and put it on the other person that's listening.
Totally.
Right? I've just got some systems and processes that help. Let's find you the perfect spot. Let's make your goals come through. Our tools are just here to help, right? It's very, very much about them. And I think if we can do that and put the cape on others, boy, you've got an audience that'll listen and they'll want you to succeed. So that's what we're doing right now, Adam, is just hunkering down and snuggling up to people, right? As the weather gets colder, let's snuggle up and warm it up with some conversation.
All right.
I love that.
Justin, are you a cuddler?
Actually not.
I'm down, but I get to be the big spoon.
Right. Piper's shaking her head now.
Oh, he's not? Oh, that's terrible. All right. I have that too. My wife Liz has got a touch of claustrophobia, so yeah, cuddling's like 2 or 3 minutes and then you get off.
Enough.
Right, that's enough. Go away. So I do think that what you're preaching here, what we're prophesizing here, is kind of been an important piece of this puzzle for a long time. It's just that most of our colleagues don't embrace it. And I remember, one of my very first coaches, this is decades ago, oops, there I am spilling the beans on how old I really am, said, just having those conversations, we're not talking about business. These people just bought a house 6 months ago. They're not buying another house, okay, is kind of like a game of hot potato. one of the things about being in sales that's really a struggle, because we're salespeople, we're type A, we love to talk, is actually shutting up and listening, putting the cape on that other person. Our job really is to listen and solve problems. That's what we should be doing. So if we treat it, and thank you, Carl White, for the nugget from 20 years ago, treat your conversations with these people like a game of hot potato, and you don't want it. You want to ask pointed questions so that these people will talk about themselves, about their trials and tribulations, put that cape on them, let them do it. But get rid of that hot potato. You don't want to be the one talking, which is so difficult as a salesperson. It's so hard to not be the one chat. But yeah, it's really, I would say, one of the greatest skills real estate agents, mortgage originators, insurance agents, car salespeople, financial planners can develop over the course of their career is listening. Yeah.
I would direct this to Piper, and that is, when I met Piper, there was a fearlessness with her about talking to people, calling, striking up conversation. I think it was from her insurance background, where she just accepted the fact, like, I'm going to have to make calls if I'm going to succeed. And she's carried that over. Piper, will you talk about kind of your daily, like, how do you approach the day when you're like, I got to make these calls today? Because for Adam and I that coach a lot of people, we can get them excited when they leave the room to go make calls, and then an hour later that excitement's gone, and they find something else, like, I had to hit the drive-through, and then I got this, and my buddies called about something. What do you do? What is your discipline like? Because I watch it daily and it impresses me constantly.
Well, thank you. So it's not something that I really enjoy doing. To me, it's just part of the job. And to Justin's point, yes, I have a background in insurance, which is basically legal racketeering. You're never calling people with good information. You're taking their money to provide a product that they don't ever see. So, with real estate, it's very different, because I have the ability to really connect with people and to kind of curate a perfect experience for them. So when we talk about what we're doing this time of year, for me, it's all about kind of courting our clients. I'm not calling people with the expectation that they want to buy or sell right now, but I'm calling them to form that connection so that when the time is right, they don't go to somewhere else. Right now, I think there are a lot of people, like, I'm not a pushy salesperson at all. In fact, most people don't really realize that I'm in sales. So, I mean, for me, I'm trying to build that relationship and really.
But you do. You realize it. That's the important part.
I do. Yeah. So I'm kind of stealth about it, though. I never want to come off pushy. I hate it when people are pushy to me. So I just try to really make sure when I'm connecting with people, it's very personal, because if I can be that personal connection, you're always going to be I'm going to be the person you trust. And so with kind of how you're talking about the news and all of the stuff that's coming down the line, we've really set our clients up to know that we are the resource. And if they have questions on interest rates, the market, what's going on and how things are impacted, to call us. They know that what they hear on the news is bullshit at this point, because that's been our message for so long. So, I mean,
I think it's the worst it's been.
Oh, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And, I joke with people, especially during, election season, I don't watch the news anyway, so I stay pretty clueless. It's important, though, to make sure that we are the ones saying, hey, here's what's really happening. Yes, whether you decide to move forward on this house right now, if you can afford it today, buy it. If you can't, don't. Like, if you need to sell, we're going to get it sold. Taking that piece of fear out and making it specific to them and what they need, I think really helps with the anxiety level that consumers are having right now, because they do hear all this awful rhetoric about the world, ending. And we're hearing talks about mortgage rates being potentially in the double digits to mid-teens in the next couple of years from some people. So people are hearing everything. And our job really at this point is just to sit down and be an ear and see how we can help them. When I talk to people this time of year, really between October and January, I don't even mention real estate. I'm calling them to see how they're doing, how their family is, and how we can bring value to their life.
Well, and unfortunately, it's not just the media, although there's certainly a big problem with it, but a lot of people consume content from other sources. Recently, Cardone said, if you don't have 20 million in the bank, you don't have any business buying a house. Like, no, you just lost $500,000 over the last 2 years if you didn't buy a house. Right. Or the Dave Ramsey. And even Gary Vee. And I adore Gary. I do. But I think it was 2019, he said something, I'll never buy a house. I don't want to own a house. Owning a house is a huge financial mistake, blah, blah. I'm like, no. If I didn't own real estate over the course of when he said that till now, I literally would have lost out on millions of dollars. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's not just the local news and the Fox and the MSNBC and the CNN, which is bad, awful right now. And I get it. They're part of the entertainment industry. they are selling their crap just like everybody else. They need to make money, and the pandemic brought them to a new level. More people consumed more of their crap for more money than they'd ever experienced in their life, and now they're trying to figure out how to hold on to that. And bad news sells, even when it's not real.
Yeah.
So I get it. I do, but please understand that they're capitalists, and I'm not anti-capitalist, obviously, and that they're part of the entertainment industry. And if we treat it like that, and we understand why Tom Hanks gets paid what he does, and Harrison Ford gets paid what he does, and now we know why the news networks pay what this is part of the entertainment industry. But yeah, even the people that are outside of the typical media world where their content is being consumed in such great numbers, like Grant Cardone, like Gary Vee, like Dave Ramsey, that are giving, in a lot of cases, piss poor advice, we have got to slow that down and make it real for people, one-on-one, real people, our friends, our tribe, our family, the folks we run with, and make them understand that, no, this is not what's really going on. Here's what's going on and why it's important to you.
Yep. One thing that we do Piper does really well is we're always busy. We always have a lot going on. And for us, it's time management. And when it comes to connecting with clients, she physically blocks out on my phone. She will block out time in her phone, not just in her schedule, but also will set an alarm. And nothing interrupts that time until that alarm goes off, right? So if it's 45 minutes of uninterrupted time to just call clients, that's what she's getting. There's nothing that fits in there. So I think, yes, these are all great conversations, but if you start just with zero, you go, what am I going to do today? It's literally block out 45 minutes, set your alarm on your phone, and don't do anything until that 45 minutes is done and your goal in that time is done. And that's just call people. Like, forget your CRMs, folks. Forget all your database, and like, you should
ignore
have
the email for that window.
Stop. You don't need to. Nobody needs a new font or new color for their logo this winter. Just stop it. You're wasting time. Just get on the damn phone and talk.
And it's so funny because we have this conversation about new agents and when we're coaching agents, and I got to take my kids to school, and then I'm going to come into the office. So now it's 9-10 o'clock, and I'm going to spend an hour working on what my website should look like, and then I'm going to spend 30 minutes doing the water cooler thing, and hey, then it's lunchtime. Cool, let's go to lunch. I'm going to come back to my office. I'm going to work a couple hours on my new business card, and oh god, I got to go get the kids from school. I'm out. And for those of you listening, I think Justin's trying to reel it in and make it more realistic. I guarantee you 45 minutes is not what Piper is doing. She has got a commitment to that activity that well exceeds 45 minutes.
He's overshooting it. I set my timer for 20 minutes and then I take a 5-minute break and then I go back for 20 minutes. I'll just do that for hours.
Right.
And so like, if I know that I have 30 people to connect with over the course of the week, I on Monday mornings, I go to karate first. And then I come home and I have I
can't believe you guys missed the mastermind. We had a karate instructor.
What?
We did. Chris Nance taught us Taekwondo.
Fun. Well, I'm in karate with my daughter. And so I go on Mondays, and then I come home and I have a Monday meeting for myself. And I look at how many birthdays we have through the week, what real estate reviews to do. And I plan my entire week on Mondays. And so I look at what education I have. I try to do at least one CE course a week, whether it's something online, something in person. Learning and developing skills, I think right now is probably one of the biggest keys for agents to focus on as you're a little bit slower. It's going to change and you have to be ready. So if there's a skill set that you do not 100% know, learn it. Now is the time. You can do it classes for basically free all over. I probably do 80 hours a year of continuing education. So for me, it's kind of that super important thing. So I block it out, and I know that I have 30 note cards to write, and I can't do those all at one time. So I'll do 20-minute increments for a good half the day.
It's the perfect job for someone with ADD, isn't it?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Focus on a task. Oh, there's another task, as long as we're doing our work. But yeah, I do think it's important for everybody to understand that one of the things that makes the Knolls successful, and everybody who is successful, is that time commitment, is that time blocking, is that honoring of your calendar, your schedule, the things that need to get done. And that's really an important piece of this puzzle. There's no question about it. I commit 2 hours on Monday, 3 hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to the phone. And I mean, it's literally, I don't know, probably a good 25% of the time I spend on my mortgage practice permanently. And I can't stress how important it is. And this is a 20-year activity for me. I learned how to do this, how to time block that contact management before there was really even Outlook. Now, there I go again, dating myself. I just want to make it clear that despite having the same gray in the beard, Justin is much younger than I am. All right. So for those of you that are catching the video cast, I know that's a fraction of the people that listen to the podcast. So for those of you listening, Justin has the same gray spots in his beard, despite being a hell of a lot younger than me. All right. So,
hey, Adam, one thing that I do kind of tell agents when I'm coaching or just interacting with different people, especially talking about the time blocking and scheduling. If you don't treat this like a profession, if you can't commit to it, why would a client ever commit to working with you? That's like, I don't want to get yoga lessons from someone that, occasionally does yoga in the park. That's not where I'm going to go. Like, you have to be the professional and you have to show that you're committed to it if you want people to work with you.
That's really big. So like if I'm choosing a physician, I don't want the guy that spends most of his day working on his website and his business card before he jets off to take the kids to school or pick them up from school.
Yeah, not my preference. But.
Got it. Okay. And we could go on and on about structuring your business exactly that way in that professional manner, but we'll do that on your 5th episode, I guess.
Adam, one thing that's kind of changed for us, and we did this a couple of years ago, started this, and Piper's very disciplined at this, is you have to ask the question. If somebody asks you to do something, if your answer is not yes in 3 seconds, if it's not hell yes, let's do this within 3 seconds, it's a no. And it doesn't mean that you don't want to do it. It just might mean that now is not the time, right? We've come across prioritizing. Like, we have to prioritize. If we're going to do all these things, not everything's a yes. And for all the yeses we take is an opportunity cost against something else. We have to weigh that stuff out. So the hell yes or the yes, sorry, I cuss a lot, that is the rule for us. If it doesn't fit, then the answer is no, and just go away for it from now. Like, it doesn't have to be weird. It doesn't have to be that you're turning somebody down. You don't like them. It doesn't
have to be permanent.
It's not permanent. Absolutely.
It's just no right now.
So protect your time. If it's not hell yes in 3 seconds, be okay telling no and give an explanation. But that's big for us. Otherwise, we'd be spinning in circles and nobody would get anything good.
Yeah, and you'd be struggling to get as much accomplished as you are.
Yes, exactly.
That's really a big deal. What do you guys think the rest of the year looks like? I mean, where are we at? 75 days, 70 days until I know.
That's
I'm sorry. 70 days until the year is out. Let's project that out a little further. Let's talk 23. Yeah. What do you guys think is going to be revolutionary or different or cyclical? What are we going to see in 23 that we saw in 09?
I think there's 2 things that I'm kind of keying in on. Is number one, we are Americans. We love to buy. We love to spend money. If we have it or not, that is in our DNA. That's what makes us feel good about life. In a lot of instances, buying real estate is at the top of the list. So I think as much time as people are going to take to go, oh my God, it shifted. Every day that goes by is going to go, okay, 6 isn't so bad. 7's not so bad. 8, I can deal with that. The other thing is people are now realizing, I might get a 7%, but I'm not spending 60,000 over on asking, right? I'm not writing it, right? So that money balances out. If we can do a better job of controlling that narrative of what this actually means, right? The 6 magic words, what this means to you is, I think we've got a shot. But I think you're going to see people probably sitting on their hands for a little bit. Once Christmas trees go up and we start getting in the holidays, people probably start feeling good about life again. This is just human behavior as Americans. That's who we are. I think at the beginning of next year, it's going to be a lot of jockeying for position, people wanting to figure out where they fit in the market. Can I make something happen? I do know I've had a couple people reach out like, hey, are there investment properties available now that maybe weren't before? The answer is still no. But it's maybe it's getting closer.
That one's going to be true, yes.
right? That they're keyed in, they're asking the questions. So I think you're going to see some of that. Damn it, we're Americans. We're Denverites. We live in one of the best places on earth. People want to own real estate here. They're going to figure it out how to do it. And the other thing is people still have a lot of equity to play with. So is it going to be gangbusters? No. I do think going forward, and then I'll stop talking and let Piper talk. She's way smarter. But I do think going forward, you're going to see a lot more skepticism in younger people about, as we've already seen, these high ups and downs. And they don't have the patience to get through that probably our generation did. So I think you're going to see people a lot more skeptical, a lot more data driven. For us that are in the mood of feeling the market and all, they're going to probably roll our eyes and go, "Oh my God, just make a decision." But I think you're probably going to see that. I'll shut up.
I think that's probably true. But yes, I agree. Let's let the smart people talk.
Yeah.
Piper, Jen.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be an interesting, next 6 months. I do think that the savvy buyers are still going to buy. The savvy sellers are still going to sell. And my hope is that we're going to see a much better group of professionals coming out of this that are really going to help make this a better experience. Unfortunately, some of these agents that are newer in the business and haven't quite figured out that this is a relationship business, they might need to sit on the sidelines for a while or forever. Unfortunately, this is not the industry for everybody, and I think that this is going to be a good opportunity to have some of the really good ones stay and get better, and some of the people kind of clear the way.
Yeah, I would say that's true in both, and we're already seeing it. There's already a fairly significant exodus in mortgages, particularly in retail. Not as much in wholesale. A lot of bankers are gone. A lot of brokers are still around. That'll skew those numbers more. We'll see a far greater percentage of mortgage brokers than mortgage bankers. Prior to this shift, it was probably about 80-20, which is big. That was probably the greatest number of actual mortgage brokers that we'd ever seen. And yeah, boy, by the time the dust settles and the pendulum's at full swing the opposite direction, could be a third. Could be a third of all mortgage people out there will be wholesale brokers. And yeah, that's probably the top third of what's going on in the industry anyway. So yeah.
I think from the mortgage side, the opportunities really become a lifetime advisor, right? On what your product actually is doing with and for you. Gone are the days of I'll just put you in this and bring you a closing gift and we'll call it good and you'll love me because you got a sweet rate. Well, that wasn't your doing. That was
that's so true.
Amazing.
That's right.
He didn't just specially come up with this rate for you. I think you've got to be able to go, okay, what does this mean today and for 5 years and 10 years in your long-term plan? And I know that's what you do so well is you will pick up the phone and go, guys, I don't want to sell you on anything. You're in a good spot, but I know in 10 years you wanted to invest. Here's what we're going to do with your mortgage. Here's what that's going to look like. And I appreciate somebody like you who does that rather than just sitting and taking orders. That'll be the bigger difference, I think.
I think that's probably part of what has made this so much fun for us this year is that in 20 and 21, it really was kind of an order taker role. Everybody in their mind, just lower my rate, lower my payment. That's all I care about. Just refi. Now we're working on transactions where we get to be creative and we get to be real problem solvers. And it's a lot more fun that way, no question. And I know a lot of my brethren would say, yeah, but it's so much more work. But if you love the work, then so be it. And if you don't, then, well, you'll probably be one of those included in the exodus.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah, I do get it. And poor Jen, I would ask Jen's opinion of what she's witnessed, but she's been gallivanting around Europe, so it's hard to get her take on it.
Good job, friend.
Well, I did talk to the Knolls about it before we signed on a little bit, and the buyers like me who were just tired of the game, tired of the above asking price and the stress of it, are going to have a chance to take a deep breath and actually feel like, we talked about this last week too, but actually feel like they're getting a home they want instead of just the home they can possibly get that they can outbid somebody else.
What can I get under contract?
Anything. I mean, I went under
contract. Does it have a roof?
That's literally, the last one I went under contract on, I had COVID. I never saw it in person. And I literally, I was like, does it have a roof? And are there doors and windows? Cool. Then there's a bathroom. That's great. Okay. And that was about it. And I'm really looking forward to that exodus of the realtors that shouldn't be doing this, the loan officers that shouldn't be doing this, and the improvement in the industry and the people that are involved. Because, I mean, my story, like with mine, I figured out I couldn't even have my dogs in this condo, and that's why I didn't get the condo. And nobody else on the transaction on the real estate side had figured that out. It took me figuring it out.
There was somebody that sent you the 1980 HOA docs.
HOA.
Right.
And tried to tell me there was
you could
no
have your
update.
dog. They were updated 40 years later and said you couldn't have your dog, but yeah.
Yeah. So I am looking forward to it being better agents who are actually doing their due diligence, because those poor sellers too that thought they had sold their property and now they're having to deal with picking another offer because my dogs are my everything. So I'm looking forward to the changes we're going to see.
Hey,
or already seeing.
I love a market where our skill set can shine. That is all about that. Bring that on today. Let's do this because I know we'll separate ourselves. So
totally. And I can tell you, none of the buyer's agents that were working through last year's market and the early part of this market where we were putting clients in houses, waiving inspections, nobody felt good about that. It felt really, really gross. And it's going to be really nice to not have to look at your clients and say, hey, hope you don't regret this. And I think that's what we're going to do for a while. Buyers shouldn't have to make every concession. And I think that we're going to get to where they don't need to do it all. There's still going to be some and still going to be a challenge. There's no doubt about that. But I think we're going to be able to get some wins. It'll be nice to have a closing where people are excited again, buyers and sellers, that people feel good about it.
Instead of just exhausted, feeling like they got beat up for a solid month to get to the closing.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. This will be a neat shift. It really will.
Yeah. Bring it on. Let's go.
Yeah. And back when we did this prior, like Go 708, Piper, you were still doing insurance. Yeah?
No.
No?
No, shoot, I don't. No, maybe just barely.
So I was thinking about this when we first went live, because when I met you, you were doing insurance.
Yes,
we were affiliate members at the Realtor Board, and it made me think I may actually have known you longer than Justin.
I think I have known you longer than Justin.
Yes, that's true.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think that I was still working for Allstate and doing real estate too, but I was working still when I first met you. Yeah.
Right on. All right, so we have burned through our time and then some. Jen, I'm going to let you wrap it up because you're the one who always puts a nice bow on everything. And we need to get you back into that groove.
Right.
Yeah, so book the Knolls for a 5th episode. This is so much fun doing this with you guys. And make sure we always save a seat for Piper at the round table.
Of course. It's coming up.
Is it?
I'll try and be there.
Yeah. We'd love to have Justin there too.
No, all right. If she's willing to bring him, then fine. But yeah, get them booked for another show and take us home.
Love it.
All right. Well, interestingly enough, guys, it'll be 2024. I am booking January of 2024. So, have a great 2023. For those of you listening, watching, if you want to find out more about Just the Tips coaching, you can text TIPS, TIPS, to 63566. It will literally tell you everything you could possibly want to know. You can book a free hour of coaching. You can get a copy of Adam's book, Just the Tips. You can find our podcast, which is currently on Apple and Spotify. There'll be more soon. If you are interested in being part of our 7th season of the show, that's crazy, then you can reach out to me through that. Again, that's text TIPS to 63566. Next week, we have Ben Lavender on Halloween. I'm kind of hoping that Ben shows up in some sort of costume because that would be amazing. That would be amazing. So we will be live with Ben Lav next Monday at 10:30 Mountain Time.
Very cool. Well, thank you guys. I know carving out this kind of time is not easy on a Monday morning, and I love having you guys on the show.
Man, we appreciate you, Adam and Jen, the way you guys handle the market, how much you put into this and what you're bringing to the market and true value is so appreciated. And I don't know. I just always really, really love hanging with you guys. So thank you. Keep doing.
Totally. All right. And we'll see you guys all next week, 10:30 Mountain Time, for another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. Thanks for watching or listening.